Alright, in today's video I want to be talking about this guy, the Cannondale Synapse. It fits into Cannondale's lineup as their endurance road bike, endurance race bike. This video is going to have a good amount of me nerding out and teching out, so if you're not into that, don't really watch this video, but I'm going to bring up cool, good points about this bike, so if you want to learn about that, definitely tune in. Alright, so the first feature I want to talk about that relates to Cannondale's the race endurance category is the Save micro suspension. So I'm looking at the rear chainstays here. You can see how they are simply put quite wide here from this direction, but if you go at it from the other angle, they get real thin, looks almost like a piece of paper to a certain extent. And same story, those are the seat stays. Same goes for the chain stays. This section of the seat tube, a little bit of the seat post here, if this camera does its job and works, and then also up here in the fork, although the fork is definitely not as pronounced as the other guys. What this system, I'm just going to point this guy because it has the best example. What this system does is it allows compliance in one direction and no compliance in the other. So when you're riding along, this seat stay can flex like that, which gives you a little bit of travel and really helps iron out the bumps while still remaining perfectly stiff that way. So it's not like you're flopping around all over the place. And all these components work together as a system, so that way you get really ironed out bumps. Alright, so talking about the whole assembly with the sort of crankset, all that fun stuff. Start things off is a Cannondale made spider ring, 50-34 with that compact 34, made by Cannondale, machined out of a single block of aluminum, much the same way SRAM Red is, so ultra light, super stiff. Same technology kind of applies to the crank arms. They are hologram cranks, again made by Cannondale, but instead of being made out of a single block of aluminum, they're actually made out of two blocks that are then bonded together. This technology, Cannondale claims to be both stiffer and lighter than carbon fiber. While I can't personally attest to that, I can tell you that they are absolutely plenty light and plenty stiff. This also has Cannondale's BB30 technology, so a smooth. So the next thing I want to talk about here that very much relates to the cranksets, which we were just talking about, is the drivetrain on a whole. Now, if my camera will focus, which God forbid actually do that, you can see that this is a full Ultegra build. It has the 11-34 cassette, which is great, just gives you that giant spread of gears. I know it is absolutely filthy right now, but hey, that means I'm actually using it. So that means this is, of course, a long cage derailleur. Great, like I said, it gives you that giant range of gears. The 11-28 or other options, if you ask me, are just a little bit too restrictive. And going up front, you can see the Ultegra blades, which I think are rad. The brake rotors, coming up here, very much relating to that shifter, are the sort of brake levers. Full Ultegra build again. These are very nice. They look rad, and they give me a ton, if you ask me, but not perfectly, whatever. And lastly, the water bottles, Blackburn water bottles. They're plastic and cheap, but the way I see it, they are some of the lightest things out there. By this point, you guys have probably noticed the different tires on the bike, the gator skin out back and the WTB exposure up front. In my opinion, that front tire looks rad. I quite like it on the bike. I believe it contrasts nicely with the nice dark, deep teal, I believe is the official name, paint. But that front tire, while being nice and all, is extremely soft. And I'm in that weird stage between that front tire is going to die soon, and I just replaced the rear tire about a month or so ago. So that's why the two tires are slightly mismatched. But while we're on the subject of tires, I want to talk a little bit about the tires themselves, because I know at least one of you guys have noticed that these tires are absolutely massive. They are 32 out back, and a 30 up front. The new generation Synapse, which this is designed to accommodate up to 32C tires, which I am fully utilizing in the back and not quite making the most of up front. I believe this is a great option, especially for the pretty terrible roads we have around here in Sonoma County, just because it really helps to iron out all those bumps and chatters while still giving me tons of control and not really slowing me down. Alrighty, so I flipped the bike around with the intention of talking about the brakes because they are definitely worth talking about. They are Shimano Ultegras front and rear, 160mm up front, 160mm rotor up front, and 140 out back. Amazing stuff. I love the feel they offer and the modulation. You really can't go wrong with them. I like those fins because they look rad and get really hot after a nice descent. The only complaint I have with the whole braking system would be Cannondale's choice to not put a finned rotor on them. But yeah, other than that, good stuff. Alright, so onto the geometry of the bike. It has a 73-degree head tube angle, a 100.9 centimeter wheelbase, and a 39.3 centimeter reach. All this totals up into something that feels, well, perfectly normal in every respect. Alright, so that was an overview of the componentry and source specs on my Cannondale Synapse, an endurance road bike that, in my opinion, is greater than the sum of its parts.